This video explains how to develop a pattern for two intersecting cylinders. Now this exact technique only works if you have two cylinders of the same diameter and they meet at 90-degree angles. Now you will use some variations if you have two cylinders that are, say, different diameters or they don't meet at 90 degrees. But if you have a situation such as this exact technique will work. Now I'll pan over to the right. Now I will use only what I need. I don't need this right side view. Okay, all I need is the top and the front. And as you can see, I've pre-drawn a wheel out to the right. Now this is directly to the right of the top view, and this wheel is the same diameter as the cylinders. Okay, so what I need to do first is to figure out where the intersection line is between the two cylinders. There should be some kind of arc line here, but there's not. Okay, so the way to do that is to draw horizontal lines out from your wheel and project it back across the top view. And I can just copy this around, but make sure you snap it directly to the end of the lines on the wheel, or your development will be wrong right from the beginning. Okay, now I'll trim off any excess. Okay, now as you can tell, this line is the same length as this line is the same length as this line, and so on. So they can take on the same colors. I'm going to color code these to make it a little easier to understand. And the reason I trimmed that off previously is because I'm only interested in the part where the horizontal cylinder meets the vertical cylinder. So, okay, now I've done that. Now I want to draw vertical lines down over the front view. So I will do that. I'll copy that line around again to these endpoints. Okay, and I will just use match properties. And you can see that this green line, when it comes down, it actually touches the next green line and goes on down. And all these will do the same thing with the exception of the magenta line, which is the shortest. Okay. So now that I've done that, what I want to do next is I want to copy this wheel down, and there's a specific way you need to do this. So I'll hit CP for copy, and I'll use a left to right window, which is blue. Okay. And I'll hit enter, and then I'll snap to the middle of this drawing and bring it down to the middle of this one. So the wheel is directly horizontal from the end of this cylinder. Now what I need to do is I need to rotate this and the numbers 90 degrees. Since I want to go clockwise, I need to rotate it -90. Okay, now you can see that I've rotated it clockwise. 0.4 is now where 0.1 was. Okay, now if you go back up to the top view, you can see that if this cyan line were extended, it would go to 0.3. The dark blue, if it's extended, will go to 0.2. 7 will go to 0.1, so on and so forth. So what I need to do now is copy these same colors down. So this goes to 0.7 in that view. It would also go to 0.7 here, and it also belongs to 0.1. Okay, and now the dark blue goes to 0.6 and 8, or 2 and 12 as well. And the cyan goes to 0.5, 3, 9, and 11. And finally the green just goes to points 10 and 4. Okay, now that I've done that, I will extend all those lines to the back of the object. Alright, now all we have to do is use our spline command, S-P-L-I-N-E, and where our colors meet, we want to click. And then I'll hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's what my intersection line looks like between the two cylinders. Okay, so now what I need to do is extend these lines and get my layout. So first thing I need to do is check the circumference of these cylinders, and I'll use area and O for object, and my circumference is 15.7080. So my layout itself, layout line will also be that length. So I'll just offset the back of this arbitrary distance of 5, and then I will offset an additional 15.7080. Okay, now I've done that, and that's what the cylinder would look like if there weren't an opening in it. Okay, it would be those dimensions. Alright, now what I need to do is use the divide command. I want to divide these into 12 equal segments. Okay, and then I will just copy one of the end lines that I drew to each of the nodes. Okay, now that I've done that, let's extend those lines that I drew all the way to the end here. Alright, now I haven't numbered these, but I will go 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, and the last two should be 12 and then back to 1. Okay, and we'll just follow what's going on with the colors up here. So in other words, point 1 is magenta, so this is point 1, so I will put a point there, and I'll use the spline command again. Point 2 is dark blue. Okay, line 3 here is cyan. Okay, and then green is points 4. Okay, and then it starts coming back up, and you can see how it looks. Then I'll hit enter 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and don't forget you need to do the other side. I will just use the mirror command, and this is my center point. I need to select the object, which is my spline line I just drew. Then I need to draw my mirror line. Okay, so now I have both sides of the hole in the cylinder. Okay, so now I just need to do the bottom part, and or the horizontal cylinder. So I will draw some vertical lines down. Okay, and then I will just draw a perpendicular line here, perpendicular to those lines. Okay, and again, this layout will be 15.7080 because these cylinders have the same diameter. Okay, and I need to extend that a bit. Alright, now that I've done that, I can project the other lines I drew down. The only one I did not draw that I should have drawn is this magenta that comes straight down from the top. Okay. Alright, and again I can divide this into 12 equal segments and copy this to each of the nodes. And now that I've done that, I just follow the line around. I'll use the spline command again, and I'll just call this point 1, and we'll go all the way to, and this one will be 12, and then back to 1. So point 1 is magenta, then point 2 is dark blue, and I'm following the wheel up here. 3 is cyan, and then 4 is dark green, and then point 5 is cyan, dark blue, magenta, and it just goes all the way around. And hit enter 3 times, and that's my layout for my horizontal cylinder. Now I can just copy these out and I will do the same with this. Okay, I'll do a little bit of trimming. Okay, and that's what my development looks like, and that concludes this video on developing 2 intersecting cylinders.